Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 348. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
This week on the show we'll be talking about the Safdie brothers' Uncut Gems. We'll also be going over some we're watching on the watch list, going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember to please consider reviewing us on iTunes if you get a chance. That would be incredible. A couple housekeeping bits. The Christmas episode of Saved by the 90s is out now, so if you can, consider giving that a listen. It's pretty fun. We did a made-for-TV Christmas Part 2. Talked about 4 made-for-TV Christmas movies, and it was a blast, so be sure to check that out. We're going to be doing our top 10. I don't know. We're going to be talking about our top movies of the year on next week's show, and we're going to have Ken on to have that discussion, so very much looking forward to that, which basically means that I'm absolutely trying to cram in as much as I can here in the last few days of the year. So that's fun.
Just going nuts with it.
Yeah. With that, I think we can dive into our review. Uncut Gems. This is directed by Josh and Benny Safdie. I have a synopsis here. A charismatic New York City jeweler, always on the lookout for the next big score, makes a series of high-stakes bets that could lead to the windfall of a lifetime. Kevin, now you're a pretty big fan of the Safdie brothers. I would say I'm a super fan. I'm a Safdie super fan.
Oh boy, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. I love me some Safdie brothers.
All right.
So
I got you. I hear you.
What did you think of Uncut Gems?
Ooh, this one's a tough one because this is one of those movies for me that's like it's a split. It's a two-parter. Part of this movie is fucking insufferable and I hate it. And the other part of this movie is pretty damn good. And I quite enjoyed it.
Okay, let's start with the insufferable part.
Just like the first half of the goddamn movie, it's fucking insufferable. It's just a bunch of people yelling all at once, all the time, and literally like the majority of this movie is the same fucking scene over and over again, which is Adam Sandler talking to Lakeith Stanfield, and he says, "Do you have the stone?" He says, "Yeah, I got it." And then he's like, "Okay." They meet up. He's like, "Where's the stone?" And Stanfield's like, "I don't have it." He's like, "Oh, you motherfucker." And then that's it.
KG has it. KG's got it. Where's KG at? We need the stone. Where's the stone?
Yeah. And then there's a little like in between thing, and then there's a whole nother sequence of events that's exactly the same, where they do it at the weekend concert, and it's just that for a while, and it's just everyone yelling, and it's fucking goddamn headache is what it is.
It is.
Like nothing's happening, and it's really irritating.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sensory overload. My wife had a hard time dealing with the chaos of this movie. I enjoyed it. I actually quite enjoyed just how kinetic and nonstop it was, with the people talking over each other and just constant, just endless amounts of energy. There's never a moment of stillness in this movie. It's just going and going and going. And I can totally understand why someone might find that grating. There were times where I was just like, I need a little bit of a break here. I just need a little break.
Yeah, and I get it. I think the other thing that kind of irritated me is the score at that point in time too. Throughout that, it's just really
intense,
off-putting to me.
Well,
it's annoying.
Yeah, it was distracting. It was actually distracting for me. The score, where it was like the mix of the score was like almost at the same level as the dialogue. So you have this like really this like pumping score that's like at battling with the dialogue of 5 people at once, and you're just like, this is a cacophony of just sounds that is I'm being bombarded.
It's like, can you shut your fucking sense up for just a bit? I mean, my God. I mean, and even if you do shut the sense up, and everyone's no one's really yelling anything of consequence. They're just yelling shit.
Yeah.
It's not like it's important dialogue to the narrative. They're just yelling at each other.
Yeah. I also recognize that this was a very deliberate choice to make it that way, and to sort of make you uncomfortable throughout the whole thing, and to sort of feel the stress of this movie. This is a very stressful movie. It's a movie that just doesn't stop and kind of constantly just keeps you on edge. And I really enjoyed it overall. Now, switching gears from the insufferable part, what were the elements that you said that you enjoyed?
Pretty much the second half of this movie. I think it does. There is a point where it dies down a little bit, where it's not as much as a cacophony, like you said. Like the score kind of settles into its place and kind of resides in the background enough to like punctuate and not actually, distract from what's happening. And of course the dialogue kind of settles in to each person. It's not as much as, people going absolutely apeshit as soon as you get like 5 people in the room. And then there's also just the performances are fantastic. Pretty much everybody. And I mean, even like the small side characters, like the 2 heavies for Arno's heavies. I thought they were fantastic, and that's first time acting.
Yeah, even
they're not in anything.
Even Kevin Garnett, pretty good in this.
Yeah, he's fantastic in it.
I mean
everyone. This
is clearly to me at least, a career highlight for Adam Sandler. It's obvious. It is obvious that he needs to do more roles like this. Anytime he's in a role like this, that's something beyond one of his, Happy Madison style movies, he just crushes it. And
but you got to be honest though. This isn't all that unlike those. It's like he's just yelling. He's doing his yelling voice.
Right, but
he's got nicer clothes on. And he's got a goatee, and he's in a situation that's not ridiculous. Well, it is ridiculous, but not really for comedic reasons.
And I think that's it's all in the context though. Like you give him good material and he flourishes in it. Like if you look at Punch Drunk Love, in that role he still yelled a lot too. His like anger management issues that he had in that movie, he still did his like Adam Sandler kind of freak out stuff in that, but he was so good in it. And I think the same could be said about Uncut Gems, where it's a role that seems specifically designed for him, and it really helps accentuate his strengths.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did a perfect job of that. They know exactly what his strengths are, and they utilized them to a T.
I thought he was just great in this. I think if he would ever be considered to be like an awards contender, this would be the role for him, because I thought he did such a great job. And maybe it's just because I was yearning for another role like this for him, because I think that pretty much everybody likes Adam Sandler and they want him to do good movies, and he just doesn't really do good. He does movies that he wants to do. He's at that point in his career where he just wants to work with his friends and have fun, which is totally understandable. But when he, goes outside of his normal ecosystem and does something like this, you're just like, oh yeah, he's really good.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
And I completely agree with you. I think everybody else, all the performances were really solid. I mean, even The Weeknd who's in this for a little bit. He's fine. Like he's pretty good. I think Idina Menzel is really good in this as well. I think that she's another highlight for me at least. And of course, really she does such a great job of playing that archetype of that role.
And I think the thing that like fully won me, or at least brought me back over into the side of like, okay, I'm enjoying this, is when he makes his last stupid decision, which is him being just, he can't stop betting. And they're just locked in that room and he's watching the game. Because of the work that between him, what's going on with his character, and Arno's character, played by Eric Bogosian. Like those two, just what's happening there. Like the facial acting that Bogosian's doing.
Oh yeah,
throughout, because he has this like realization of like, okay, this guy really has a fucking problem. Like no one's ever going to be able to help this dude. But then he also has that look on his face, like, holy shit, he's fucking doing it.
He's doing it. Yeah, I mean, I loved when they would cut to Bogosian's face. You know, they were stuck in that room. They were sweaty. It was hot, and he's just staring at him, like he's just staring at Adam Sandler's character Howard.
And there's this mix of just like seething, just being absolutely fucking pissed off at this guy. There's just exhaustion, but there's also this like weird, like he kind of respects him a tiny bit in that moment, where he's kind of in awe of him a little bit because of just how deranged and like he doesn't let go, and he's so goddamn optimistic.
Mm-hmm. I think that this is first of all, I think the Safdie brothers are great, and I was really curious to see how it would work with them having presumably a bigger budget and some bigger names in their movies. I mean, they had Robert Pattinson in their last one. I think he's a pretty big name too, but I think that clearly even though they're having like bigger movies under their belt, they're still holding on to that very distinct style. And I think that you know, grimy, gritty New York style, it is something that they just that really works well for them. They know how to shoot New York grime very well. And I was really curious, like, how's it going to work with Adam Sandler being put into this environment? Like with Pattinson, it seems like a good fit, you know, because when they had Pattinson, he'd already done a lot of like smaller indie movies and more gritty, sort of realistic style of movies. And when they brought on Sandler and they announced that, I was like, is that going to work? Like, because Pattinson, I feel like he does a better job of like sort of being a chameleon, where I can separate myself from the actor when I'm watching the movie. You know what I mean? I can buy Robert Pattinson as whatever character he's playing. Whereas with Adam Sandler, it's like, I don't know if I can see anybody but Adam Sandler in this. And is that going to sort of break the immersion? Because the way that the Safdie brothers shoot their movies, you know, they use a lot of handhelds and they make it all feel almost documentary like a sort of a verite style almost. And it didn't really affect it for me. I mean, obviously I knew that I was watching Adam Sandler, but still the way that they shot it felt just as gritty and raw as their other films.
Yeah, and they still also keep a little bit of there's not as much, I think, as like their older movies have, but there still is a little bit of this kind of like a magical realism to it, where they still do like some unexpected visuals that you might not expect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly not as much as like Heaven Knows What. This will probably, I would say this is probably going to land on my top 10. I did not find it, I didn't find the really crazy moments to be too insufferable. I thought that if they lasted much longer, they would start to wear on me, but it wasn't quite there. And I'd say like from the recital or the performance or whatever that was, the play, the musical thing that his daughter's in, like from that point on, I thought that it calmed down significantly.
Yeah.
Without really, but it did, but it didn't at the same time. It was still pretty nonstop throughout the whole thing. And I just had a blast with this movie. It's certainly not for everyone, but I had a good time with it.
I think it is interesting though, like knowing the Safdie brothers and knowing their films and the way that they kind of adhere to the old like Hollywood code, where you kind of know what the ending's going to be before it even arrives there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a point of me that was like, are they going to veer off from that, or are they going to stick to that? And yeah, so I was kind of surprised, but I wasn't.
Yeah, if you're familiar with their body of work, they know that they're not really big on happy endings.
No.
They're not real big on the happy endings. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I will say again, like it's talking about all the small, side characters, big and small. Everyone does a fantastic job, but I was really impressed with Keith William Richards, who plays the Phil, the guy that's just always going off on Sandler.
Yeah,
and punching him in the face and whatnot. He was pretty phenomenal.
He was. He definitely was.
And it was kind of interesting to see it in the correlation with Parasite, with the rock and capitalism and everything.
Yeah, the movie opens in the mine when they're like cutting it out, and that was a big surprise.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to start the movie off in Ethiopia. That was surprising.
I kind of dug that.
Some people they want and they want, and then the bottom guys, they get sick and tired of it. So it's weird to me. It's tough for me because again, the second half is what's fresh. So I'm like, yeah, I dug this. But if you were to sit me down and show me the first half again, I'd be like, no, turn this shit off. I'm not doing this again.
Okay.
So I'm like trying to mold those two together into something thought-wise or rating-wise, what have you.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was pretty solid throughout. So for me, I'm sitting at like an 8 out of 10 on this one.
Okay. I'm gonna say like a 7.
All right. There you have it. Uncut Gems. This is playing in limited release right now, and it opens wider on Christmas Day. All right, let's dive into our watch lists. I think I don't know about you, but I've been just trying to play catch up like crazy. So I've been cramming in a lot of stuff. So I think I'll start it off with 1917. This is the Sam Mendes war movie. This actually opens on Christmas Day as well. I think a lot of people are talking about this, where it's mostly long single take shots. There's two like main sections, but of course there's several hidden cuts throughout. They're not very noticeable though. Like this is sort of the problem with these movies where you go into the movie knowing that it's one long single take shot. At least for me, I find myself sometimes distracted, like thinking about how they're filming it rather than the movie itself.
Yeah.
So I did find myself a few times during this thinking about like, oh, was that a cut? Did they just, if that was a cut, that was really good. And, so that kind of sucks. But at the same time, I feel like in this movie, it's not really used as a gimmick. I was a little concerned. I was like, is it going to feel like a gimmick? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to feel like a gimmick, but it doesn't. It really heightens the tension and the suspense of it. So if you're not familiar with what this is about, it takes place in France during World War I, and there's two soldiers who are tasked with taking a letter from one area of the front line to another that's like 9 miles away, and they basically have to tell this whole platoon to stop an attack because the Germans set a trap for them. And if they don't get the letter to them in time, then all of these soldiers, like 3,000 soldiers, are going to die. So time is of the essence. So these two soldiers, also one of the two soldiers, his brother is in that platoon. So it's very important that they get this letter to the other platoon as quickly as possible. The problem is it's just two of them, and they have to go through enemy territory to get there. So it's a very dangerous mission as well. For the most part, I thought it was really incredible. Obviously, like the technical aspects of it are pretty out of control. Frankly, I don't know how they captured a lot of it. I did look up the type of camera they used, and they used an Arri Alexa camera that's like super tiny. It's like for like, big digital camera standards, it's a relatively small camera. So I imagine that helped them with like the portability of it. But it's pretty incredible. Like the sets are very intricate. World War One it was all about trench warfare. So you have these like labyrinth trenches that they go through, and there's a lot of really impressive set pieces in this as well. Roger Deakins did the cinematography, so it looks gorgeous as you might expect. It did lose me a little bit towards the latter half, but it picked back up then near the finale. So 1917. Definitely recommend checking that out.
I watched Atlantics, Matty Diop. Finally got another one. Finally get off my list. I think it's been on there for 3 years. Anticipated. This is on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix there, which is just wild to me that, I've waited I don't know how many years for Matty Diop feature length. And it's so difficult to come by her short films. And then her feature length it's on Netflix. It's right there. You can watch it. It's just bizarre. But this is pretty phenomenal. It's a love story. And honestly, I honestly feel like if this was in the hands of anyone else, it's silly as fuck. It would just come off being silly, because it's like a ghost story, but a ghost love story, right? But the way in which she handles it and goes through it is just pretty impressive. Because honestly, if you look at it on paper, she is this young woman, Ada, 17. She's set to be married off to a rich guy, but she's in love with this young construction worker. This young construction worker and all of his buddies, they're working on this huge project, this multi-million-dollar high rise that they're putting up, but they're not getting paid. So they say fuck it one night. They go out to sea to try and go somewhere better, find something better. She doesn't want to get married, all that. Well, fever starts going through, find out that people on the boat died, and ghosts come back and all this, and it's just, honestly, again, if you think about it, if it's done by anyone else, it would just be absolutely ridiculous. But here she makes it like, it's very tragic, it's beautiful, it's haunting at the same time. The cinematography is phenomenal because it has this, these magical realism elements to it, and you're just never quite sure which way it's going to go. I can't recommend it enough. What's the wait? Nice.
And that's Atlantics, and that's available on Netflix right now. I think that this is going to be on a lot of top 10 lists at the end of the year. A lot of people are talking about this one.
Yeah.
I saw, keeping with the war theme, I saw Hidden Life, directed by Terrence Malick. This is one that I was somewhat interested in it. I was like, you know what? It's Malick. I'll give it a shot. I don't really know too much about it, but the trailer looked incredible. So I had to find the right opportunity, because it's 173 minutes long. So it's a big one. It's an epic one. You gotta sit down. You gotta invest in this one. And so I watched it last night, actually, and it's fantastic. Like, it is probably, I would say it's certainly his best since Tree of Life. I think I like this more than Tree of Life.
Okay.
It's visually, it is stunning. It is so, every shot, just do a still, just a still grab of that, put it up on your wall. You're done. Decorated your house with the Hidden Life stills. It's just so gorgeous, this movie. It takes place in Austria near the latter part of the war. I believe it starts in 1943, and it tells the true story of an Austrian farmer who refuses to swear an oath for Hitler, and because he refuses to pledge allegiance to Hitler, he gets thrown in prison and gets separated from his family, and it sort of cuts back and forth to him in prison, dealing with what it's like in prison, and then his wife and their 3 daughters and what life is like back in their small village. They live in this really quaint village where it's like it almost looks like they're sort of like in this middle class area. Like, it doesn't look like, it's not like a poor village or anything. Like, their house is very nice, but they become ostracized when all the townspeople find out that he didn't swear his allegiance and all of this. They turn on them, and they are really just harsh to the whole family. Like, they're spitting on them, throwing stuff at them, stealing from them. Mm-hmm. It's pretty horrible what they're going through, and that's pretty much the gist of the film. August Deal plays the lead. He's pretty incredible, and Valerie Peckner plays his wife, and she's pretty good too. She doesn't have a lot of dialogue. In fact, there's not a lot of dialogue at all in this movie. You know, it's your standard Malick fare. There's a lot of voiceover, so you have a lot of that kind of introspective stuff going on. A lot of shots of people looking out of windows longingly, people running through fields and whatnot. It's very, very Malick. When you see this, you're just like, yep, that's him. What I liked about it was, and not only was all the locations are just incredible. The camera work, it's all done in this like sort of not all. A lot of it is done in this sort of handheld style where it's just swooping around everywhere. Like, the camera's moving everywhere, and it's like going into people's faces, and it's just all over the place. And like there's a scene where they're baking bread, and like the smoke is fogging up the camera, and I mean it's just really, really incredible camera work in this as well. So I can recommend A Hidden Life. It is quite good. It's just, man, that runtime is unfortunate, and there's a lot. I mean, I hate to say this about any movie, but like, there's just so much that they could have cut out of this.
Well, yeah, it's Malick. Every Malick movie has so much just digging around.
There's so much stuff that they could have removed, and it would have had the exact same tone. He also sort of stitches in actual footage, like black and white footage of the war and stuff, and I mean, maybe some of that was okay, but yeah, that's the only nitpick I have, is just that it's too long.
Well, I got a short one, 75 minutes, in and out, done, easy breezy. That's August at Akiko's. This is streaming on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on there. Now, I've heard pretty good things about this. Decided to give it a look, and oh boy, I don't know if it was just the current place that I found myself. This hit the spot, just zeroed in on the spot, and then just fucking bullseyed it and hit it. It felt great. So there's this musician, Alex Hontai, who goes back to Hawaii. He plays the saxophone. He's a sax guy, right?
Oh yeah.
So right there, connection. And he goes back to Hawaii. He's looking for like his grandparents' place. Can't find it. It's being built over. So he doesn't really know what to do. He hasn't been in Hawaii in a long time. So he remembers that his mom told him to go to Akiko's. It's this kind of like bed and breakfast, like Buddhist temple retreat type deal. So he goes there and decides to stay for, and he's not sure how long he's going to stay. But he, gets a room for a couple of days. And then it's just kind of him, like, on this journey with the help of Akiko, of kind of getting back in touch with Hawaii as a place, as his birthplace, as his culture. And so it's kind of like this mix of documentary / fiction, so, the hybrid type deal. but you can't really tell. And it's got great music in it. Like he plays like kind of throughout. You pick up the saxophone. He kind of does some like experimental jazz stuff, but it works really, really great. It kind of gives it, because not only is there this overwhelming beauty to the movie, but there is this kind of undercurrent of disquiet, which kind of comes out in his saxophone playing. And they do, they'll detour and do some experimental stuff where there's a lot of like superimposing images of him kind of like going through this transformation, finding himself or whatever. But if you got 75 minutes and you got Amazon Prime, I would say definitely check it out. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that's August at Akiko's. I saw The Farewell. I know you talked about this a few weeks back. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
It was a month, maybe more than a month ago. I don't even know.
Decades.
If I remember correctly, you enjoyed it for the most part, right?
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I also enjoyed it very much. This is directed by Lulu Wang. If you're not familiar with it, it's about a Chinese American woman who goes back to China when she learns that her grandmother has been given a very short amount of time to live. She has lung cancer, and the family decides to hide it from her because apparently that's just a normal thing to do in China, where they rather than tell their family member that they're dying, they treat them great and make sure that they're happy and have a great time until the very, very end, and then they tell them.
Yeah, there's that scene with the brothers or whatever, and they kind of explain it to her, which I thought was a pretty great scene about like if you tell her, she has to bear the brunt of it.
Right, and if you don't, then we do.
Yeah.
And that, because it's I think that's a really important scene, because up until that point you're just like, this is kind of shitty. Like they shouldn't hide that from her. But then after they explain it and you see that, and the pain that the family is feeling because of this, it's like I kind of understand it. Like I kind of get it now.
It totally makes sense. Yeah.
So it's funny in a lot of parts. It's not nearly as sad as I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be pretty heavy, but it's surprisingly light. Performances across the board are pretty phenomenal. Awkwafina's great in it, and then pretty much the whole cast. The guy who plays the uncle, when he has that scene where he starts to like cry, I thought that was a really powerful scene.
Mm-hmm.
Solid movie overall. I was really surprised. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, and I ended up really kind of loving it. That's The Farewell.
I saw one that you also saw, and it's also an A24 movie, which is The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I kind of thought that this one, I had a feeling that it's going to be like, the trailer to it made it look good, but it also made it look like it was trying too hard. But at the same time, turns out I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. And I think what really helped it was the performances. I think Jimmy Fails does a phenomenal job in this, same as Jonathan Majors. Rob Morgan, I could have used some more of him. I really like Rob Morgan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, this is pretty good. I like the structure of it. Kind of has this, the Greek play type feel to it. It does seem to get a little kind of gets detoured occasionally with like, oh, let's do slow motion stuff. It's just like, all right, guys, focus. Bring it back in. But overall, I got to say I was pretty surprised by this one. I actually ended up enjoying this one quite a bit. Also, Amazon Prime free if you have it.
Oh, check it out there.
Jump on that.
Yeah, I loved this movie. Loved it. This will probably be like, I think during our mid-year top 10s, this was number one for me.
Okay, I can see it.
And it's still going to be up there. It's not going to be number one at this point. I don't think, but it'll probably still be in my definitely top 10, maybe even top 5.
All right.
I saw a few that were not so good. Actually, you know what? I'll mention another one that I actually quite enjoyed, which is Dr. Sleep. This one I was a little hesitant about This is directed by Mike Flanagan. Now, the reason that I even bothered with this at all is because it was directed by Mike Flanagan. I'm a big fan of his work for the most part. A lot of people really loved Absentia, which was like his debut feature. And I was not a fan of that at all. But pretty much everything else that he's done, I was not a big fan of Before I Wake either. But everything else, pretty much loved. Dr. Sleep, sequel to The Shining, based on the Stephen King book. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. You have Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance. I had a blast with this movie. It's really, really good. And Mike Flanagan just yesterday on Twitter said that the Blu-ray version is going to have the theatrical cut and the director's cut. And so I'm really excited to see what the director's cut entails. I think you would probably even enjoy this, Kevin, as a fan of, what was that? This Netflix series, The Haunting of Hill House?
Mm-hmm.
You liked that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely has shades of that in this. I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought. Ewan McGregor as an adult Dan Torrance, it's all like he's an alcoholic. He's struggling with addiction problems and mostly stemming from the trauma that he sustained as a child. And it goes to some really interesting places, and I thought it was quite good. So I can recommend checking out Dr. Sleep. Don't think it'll land on my top 10 or anything, but still a solid one nonetheless.
I'm done.
All right, I'll mention a couple other ones very briefly here. I saw Bombshell. This is the Fox News one directed by Jay Roach. Basically, this just feels like an Adam McKay movie. That pretty much same style, where it's that kind of fourth wall breaking political comedy that doesn't necessarily work. I thought that the three leads in this, you have Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, and Margot Robbie. They all did a great job, but overall, and John Lithgow playing what's his name, Roger Ailes. You know, they all did a serviceable job. It's just like I didn't find the movie to be very compelling at all, and I found it to be kind of messy, a little sloppy on this one. Not a fan of that. The same could be said about Dark Waters. This is the Todd Haynes one about the DuPont nastiness that they did throughout the 60s and into the I can't remember, early 2000s, I would say. They did that shit for years and covered it all up. Anyway, this is the one with Mark Ruffalo. Not really into this one either. It's such an interesting topic, and I think that it's an important topic. I think everybody should know that DuPont literally poisoned every living creature on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
That's very important to know. And somehow, even though this is a really crazy story about this lawyer, he's a corporate defense attorney. He works for energy companies, how he went against DuPont and took them on over the course of many, many years. I mean, this took forever, this case, and they somehow made this movie very dull. Like, it's just a dull ass movie, and I wasn't too into it. I would love to see them make a documentary about this. I think a documentary would be more informative and just it would use the information, and I think in a better way to just turn it into a doc.
Plus, it seems like you get far more in depth.
Yeah. The last one that I'll mention is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I was not a big fan of this. I'm sort of a lapsed Star Wars fan. When I was younger, I used to be obsessed with Star Wars. I loved everything Star Wars. Since I got older, I still see all the movies and stuff, and I still like the Star Wars universe. I'm just not one of these crazy diehard fans of the series. I thought that this one was very sloppy. a lot of the things that happen in it just seem to be them saying, like J.J. Abrams saying, fans, hey fans, we're listening to you. We know that you didn't like this one thing in the last one, so we're going to fix that. So everything in the movie felt like it was just fixing things that, to me, weren't really broken to begin with. And everything felt rushed. Like they were just trying to get this over with. Like they're just trying to close this story out and be done with it. Done with this Skywalker shit. And I there were a number of things I did like about it. There were a couple action scenes that were really fun, and there were some funny moments. But overall, I thought that it was the weakest of the new trilogy, that, you know, the recent trilogy. I think it was still way, way better than, you know, the prequel trilogy. I think that it ended in a semi-fitting way, although there were some kind of baffling decisions that they made towards the end to close out the whole saga, if you will. To me, it's like, I would just recommend seeing The Mandalorian. Just watch The Mandalorian, because I think that show is so incredible. One thing that I don't know, I don't keep up with like Star Wars chatter on Twitter or anything, because I find it to be kind of toxic for the most part. I don't know if people are talking about The Mandalorian, the effects work that's done on that show, but holy shit, is it good. It's almost all practical. And I don't know if it's not getting recognition, it should be, because they could have taken the easy way out and just made everything CG in that show and probably saved a lot of money, but they didn't. It's almost all practical. Like they use puppets, they use people in costumes, they build shit, you know, and it looks so good. It's like every week it's a movie. The other thing I like about that show is that the episodes are only like half an hour long. So they're like 35 minutes. I think the very first episode might be 45 minutes. And there is an overarching story. However, almost every episode is sort of self-contained and has its own characters in it that sort of are there just for that one episode. And also the directors that they have chosen to work on some of these episodes are really interesting. They get some really cool directors, notably Rick Famuyiwa, the guy who did Dope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a few episodes. I'm not sure how many. And the cameos that they're getting, it's almost all comedic cameos. So you have like Taika Waititi's in there, Richard Ayoade, Bill Burr, Amy Sedaris, Nick Nolte, tons of these really great cameos. Horatio Sands is in an episode. Werner Herzog, of course, he plays the bad guy. Carl Weathers is in there. So you have this really incredible cast. And I know I started talking about the new Star Wars movie with this and quickly transitioned to The Mandalorian, but I just find The Mandalorian to be so much more enjoyable than that movie was. Just watch The Mandalorian. Jesus.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Just get on it. Here's what you do. You wait until the whole season is done. I don't know how many episodes they're going to be. Sign up for a trial of Disney Plus. Just binge the whole thing, dump the trial if you no longer want Disney Plus.
There you go.
That's it.
Easy.
All right, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. On Christmas Day, we have Spies in Disguise. This is the animated one. You know, it's funny. So we had to have our nominations in for the Online Film Critics Society Awards. And as I was submitting my nominations, I realized that I didn't even see 5 animated movies in 2019. Because you have you start off with 5 nominations, right? Each for specific categories, you start off with 5. And I'm like, okay, what animated movies did I see? And I'm like, Tux and Fanny, Toy Story 4, Missing Link, and that's it. Those are the only 3 animated movies I saw this year.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just that I didn't see a lot, or there weren't that many, or there weren't that many that looked any good.
Yeah, I can't really think of any. I can think of one more.
Well, there's the Dragons How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. We've went over that before.
Yeah. And then there was that Abominable one that looks bad.
The French one, I lost my body.
I did want to see that one about the hand. I might try to squeeze that in before the end of the year. Anyway, we also have Little Women coming out. This is the Greta Gerwig directed adaptation. What do you think about this? Are you interested in this?
Slightly. Not super excited, I won't say.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy on it too. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Little Women story, but I am a big fan of Greta Gerwig as well as most of the cast of this movie. So I think I'm going to try to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I might end up loving it. Who knows? We got Uncut Gems coming out. We got 1917 coming out. This is the Sam Mendes one. We got Just Mercy coming out. This is the one with Destin Daniel Cretton directed one with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx, Brie Larson.
Wait, he's the guy that directed that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Short Term 12. Come back at you. I was just thinking about Short Term 12 the other day.
Not a good movie.
I liked it. I remember thinking it was okay.
I did not.
I think you might have liked it, actually.
I did like it?
I think you thought it was okay.
Well, yeah. I probably thought it was okay. But now, if you ask me, I don't. Things change. Things change over time, Adam.
Of course. I barely remember anything about that movie.
I'm looking up right the fuck now. I just remember a shit ton of people being in it that weren't that big at the time. Okay,
right.
I gave it 3.5 stars. All right.
Yeah, so you did like it. I remember we reviewed it on the show. I remember.
Okay. I stand corrected.
On the Friday the 27th, we have Clemency. This is one with Alfre Woodard. She plays a warden, and it's her job to put prisoners to death, and it's getting to her. Job's taking its toll.
I can imagine.
Same. I'm going to try to check this out before the end of the year also, because it looks pretty good.
Yes.
That's it for theaters. Let's see what we have on VOD. Probably not a whole lot. Nothing. Got nothing on VOD.
Interesting.
Yeah. Blu-ray, pretty much the same. We've got a couple things here. Judy is coming out, and a movie called After Party. The Kill Team, which I wasn't a big fan of. Adopt a Highway, that's the one with Ethan Hawke. And that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. The Gallows Act 2 comes out also.
Gotcha.
That's all we got. I think I already know the answer about the criterions.
None.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they're getting out of the way of that Christmas time thing.
That's right.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson, and we'll see you next week.